had stayed disconnected, I think just no one would have known about the story. We wouldn't be able to follow along, and ultimately that has led to just all this incredible support from hundreds, thousands of people from all over the world, people that we'll never meet, and that's been directly because of being able to share the story, and that is directly because of having Starlink and because of everyone at Clarus supporting us with the data and making sure we were remaining online when we needed to be and sharing what we could from the experience. Having rode across the Atlantic 5 years ago, the difference between just having sat phones, such a game changer, being able to call, being able to send voice notes or video or have a video call every now and again with loved ones. It really transformed, I think, the experience for them in that direct communication. But then I think around that because there was so much going out, I think everyone felt like they could follow along and check in with us just by checking the Instagram so it was a complete game changer. Our mum went from being quite stressed on the Atlantic to she was just loving it.
I mean, it was just the flick of a switch and we're within a few minutes we're connected. It was just game changing.
The primary thing for us would be just to kind of check the weather. So that'd be switching on the Starlink and then using various apps which would give us kind of weather data from different kind of predictive models. We then have inputs from our shore team. So again, those would be, sometimes it would just get a satellite message, but very often that was a satellite message to say, can you switch on the Starlink so we can have a chat, or so I can send you some things.
The Wi-Fi on the boat was just so good. So
it really was. Honestly, compared to I think any Wi-Fi that I've ever had.
We kind of chose that, let's use it intentionally and let's have it on in the morning for an hour and then in the evening for an hour. And it was in those windows that we would be organized and either try and, would have, live FaceTime calls with celebs or with family members. Would be sending back. There's always uploading media. It's honestly remarkable because it was mounted on the back of the stern cabin, and especially in a following sea. Big waves would come and just crash over the back of the boat. Even they're big enough that they'd come all the way over and hit the person sitting in this sort of stern position. So it was getting it got fully tested.
Leaving Peru, we saw like a few ships, and then there was nobody until we got to the Marquesas, which was like it's like 4,000 miles.
It was just such an amazing thing to be able to arrive into Cairns and have so many, friends and family, but a huge number of people that we didn't know that had followed along and had come out to welcome us into to Cairns Marina, and then you've got all the kind of press there, and it was just hugely kind of overwhelming. I think that side of things kind of you're kind of almost like floating. Our massive focus for the campaign was to try and fundraise. It was to try and raise £1 million for clean water projects, and that was just always what was driving our decisions.
Quite early on in the preparation for that challenge, we learned about the capacity of these sort of big challenges to raise a good whack of money and awareness for good causes, and we met with them, and it seemed like a good fit. But at the time, to be honest, I think clean water was still quite an abstract idea for the three of us. We in Scotland, it's quite hard to get your head around not having access to clean water. We fundraised for clean water projects during our Atlantic row, but it wasn't until we went out to Madagascar and we saw some of the projects that had been built, and we saw the difference between a village that had access to clean water and one that didn't, and just the stark contrast in the people's health and their possibilities and their futures, and because it impacts like every area of life. We've become really passionate about it as a cause, and we wanted to try and raise as much money as possible. And I mean, we put our heads together, and the only thing that the three of us were kind of good at was rowing very far distances. So we kind of looked at the map and looked at the globe and thought, but the Pacific looks like, that's the biggest one out there. With the £1 million target, that was the sort of goal because of the amount of impact it could have. £1 million, with the projects that we're looking to implement, it's about 40,000 people. So a whole region of 40,000 people, which will be the first municipality in Madagascar and the whole of the country to have complete access to clean water. Although the Pacific is done, for us it's not the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
It's just the first stage, and the next stage is actually sharing the impact that sharing with everyone who's been so incredible and supported this whole project, and sharing with them the impact that their generosity will have.
We can all be pretty confident that it's the best documented ocean row ever. If we hadn't been able to share the story in the way we had, but in the way we did, I don't know where we'd be. So Clarus has played such a big role in all of that impact.